So how is the Nobel Peace Prize decided? We asked correspondent Richard Roth to walk us through the selection process.
When nominations closed in February, President Obama had been in office just 11 days. With a record 205 official nominees, folk singer Pete Seeger was also considered a contender for this year's prize. So was Zimbabwe's prime minister, a dissident blogger from China, and Bono, the rock star. Supposed to be secret, names leak out because several thousand people worldwide, including politicians and academics, can make nominations. The names almost always include the Pope, whichever Pope's in power. But selecting the winner's a process as confidential as a Vatican conclave. Voting just days before its announcement, the prize committee of 1 man and 4 women is picked by Norway's parliament and famous for discretion.
They have meetings at the Nobel Institute in Oslo. These meetings are secret.
But for every Nelson Mandela or Mother Theresa who's received the honor, there's been a choice that's raised controversy. The award shared by Yasser Arafat, Yitzhak Rabin, and Shimon Peres in 1994 was called Too Much Too Soon, for a peace that's still not come. President Obama's prize could face a similar judgment. It's just too soon to say.
They're taking a big chance. This is a risk that it could fail. This is a prize for good intentions. The prize to Barack Obama is a prize for good intentions.
But it's still the world's most prestigious prize. With broad consensus, there's been one big mistake. Mahatma Gandhi was nominated 5 times, but never won. And no one seems to know why. Richard Roth, CBS News, London.
Perhaps the most succinct reaction to President Obama receiving the Nobel Peace Prize came from his press secretary, Robert Gibbs, who said simply, wow. Bob Schieffer is our chief Washington correspondent and anchor of Face the Nation. Jeff Greenfield, senior political correspondent. Bob, let me start with you. A lot of people are asking today, why do you think the committee selected President Obama?
Well, that is what people were asking all day today, even some of the president's supporters. And when people are asking that question, that tells you something pretty odd about this. I believe this has more to do with American or European attitudes to the previous administration and President Bush than it did to President Obama. It's almost like they were giving President Obama a prize for not being George Bush. I do not think this is going to help the president. I think it is going to widen the partisan divide.
Were you surprised that Michael Steele and the RNC came out with such criticism so quickly?
No, and I think this just underlines when I say widen the president's the divide between the two countries. Here you have the Republicans saying, look, this just shows he's all talk and no action. Then the Democrats respond. The Republicans are lining up with the Taliban, which is also ridiculous. But that's what you have, and I think that's what we have now. And I do not think this helps the president, nor does it help much of anything.
And Jeff, you have a slightly contrarian point of view to Bob. You think that the president could use this to his advantage. How so?
Well, I think back to all the way to last week when the Olympic bid failed and the president's critics said, you see, for all the talk, he really doesn't have that kind of international clout. So if this is a prize for good intentions, which sounds right, it does suggest that at least some folks abroad think that Obama is a figure of hope. You couple that with a poll a couple of months ago that showed that in almost every country there's a much more favorable impression of the United States than there was 2 years ago. And I agree with Bob, it is a reaction to the last president. And that's some kind of capital. Let me put it this way. You know, like chicken soup, couldn't hurt.
What about all these international issues that are facing him? Do you think this might set expectations too high?
Candidly, I think the president's expectations were set high by the president and his campaign. Yes, we can is a great message, but it permits people to fill in the blank whatever they want. Yes, we can, what? Keep Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, end terrorism in Pakistan, make Afghanistan and Iraq work. Those expectations were set by Barack Obama. I don't think the Nobel Peace Prize, frankly, is going to make much of a difference.
All right. Jeff Greenfield, Bob Schieffer, gentlemen, as always, thank you so much.